Bueno, nos encontramos con uno de los actores que ustedes reconocen de series de televisión y también de las películas, mi tocayo Alexander Skarsgard. Hola, Alexander.
Hola.
¿Cómo estás?
Bueno.
Muy bien. It's good, it's okay.
2 words and I got them wrong.
Don't worry, it's okay. So we got the Legend of Tarzan. What do you think has it been so successful, this story along the years, and has many generations going back to the story?
Well, it's kind of the desire to return to something more primal, and I mean, it was written during the late 1800s, the Victorian era, towards the end of the Industrial Revolution, where people started living on top of each other, and that kind of desire grew of returning to your roots and coming, discovering your more your inner self and more primal qualities of your personality.
Your husband's wildness disturbs me.
Why did you decide to say yes to this project?
Most of the movies that have been made are, basically telling that story of this boy growing up. He's an orphan. He grows up in the rainforest, raised by apes. What I thought was so interesting with this story when I got the script was it opens in London, in Victorian England, where he's already been back for 10 years. He's a grown man. It's not the Tarzan that you would expect to be. He drinks tea with the Prime Minister. He's very civilized, and he's like a Victorian gentleman, which I thought was a very surprising and an interesting way into the character. So it's almost the opposite of, it's not taming the beast, it's more about the beast within, because he's already tamed the beast and acclimated to life in London, but then he goes back to the jungle where he was from.
Telling that even though we go on in life, we always go back to the prime of ourselves, to what we are.
Well, I think it touches on a psychological level, that dichotomy of man versus beast that we still to this day
struggle daily.
We're descendants of apes, so we try to function in a civilized society. We do it somewhat successfully sometimes, but deep down we have these primal urges and the instincts, and that was a lot of fun playing, because this movie is about someone who kind of that to the extreme. He's a British lord, and then he goes back to the jungle and slowly reverts back to a more atavistic state. And it was a lot of fun to explore that in the character in terms of the physicality and everything of going from Lord Greystoke to Tarzan.
How was the training for this movie?
It was quite intense. Yeah, about 8 or 9 months of training. And I wanted to put on some weight. I wanted to get a little bit bigger than I was before we started the training, but I also didn't want to get, it was important that the character was nimble and agile and flexible. And I wanted it to, when he returns back to the jungle, and again when he goes back to the more primal state, it's important when he moves through the jungle, like that you have to believe that he was raised there, that he grew up there, that's his natural habitat in a way.
It's impossible to take the wild out of something.
Seemed to work with you.
How was the training to be different, to become a primate? How was that? Was it too hard?
I loved it. That was so much fun to kind of explore that, and watching just documentaries on gorillas and chimpanzees, and we got to go to this place outside of London and spend a day with gorillas and to observe them and interact with them. It was absolutely incredible and very, very useful in finding those.
Your husband's wildness disturbs me.
There is a great magic that Mr. David Yates puts in the movie from the previous work he's done. What do you think is going to be different this time when the people go to the movie theater and see this magical story?
What I really responded to was, obviously, it was a combination of Adam Kozar wrote a beautiful script, and I thought it was so intelligent and such an interesting take on everyone. People know Tarzan, they know the story, but it was such a smart take on that classic story. The fact that it opens in London and Victorian England, and then he goes back to his roots in a way. I mean, it is a big, fun, action-filled adventure movie, but the core of it is a love story between John and Jane. Margot Robbie plays Jane in the movie, and we're separated early on in the jungle, and the driving force of the movie and for both characters is to kind of our love and to reconnect again. So, in this incredible environment, this savannah and jungle and fantastic animals, and so it's big. The scope is big, but at the core, it's that beautiful love story and two lovers that try to reconnect.
He's Tarzan, you're Jane. He'll come for you.
Yeah. To wrap it up, do we get the Tarzan scream this time, as we see it in previous movies and TV shows?
There is a version of it.
A version? Yeah. Can we get something? Oh! Is it something like that?
That was brilliant. It's actually, yeah, you'll see it in the movie. It's kind of a morphed thing of my voice with some other elements in it to make it more primal.
Well, let's see that in the movie. Thank you, Alex. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's so nice to meet you.
A normal man can do the impossible to save the woman he loves. My husband is no normal man.